We'll move on to the GA study that's found almost half of the puckouts were uncontested throughout the league. John Fogarty was writing about this, and he said that 49% of puckouts were uncontested. This was a study commissioned by GA Stats, which concluded that the number of unchallenged restarts has increased 13% from 2018. So a lot of that is, of course, the accuracy of the puckouts. But, of course, a huge amount of it is the short puckouts. And if you were to watch the Wexford and Dublin game last week, and also Clare's approach against Tipperary, a lot of teams are just saying, you can have that short puckout. We're dropping out to the 45 here. Best of luck to you. And I mean, if Kilkenny did that in the All-Ireland final last year, they may well have won it.
You think so?
Yeah, because they were on the 20. Their three inside forwards were setting up on the 21, whereas Limericks were out 35 yards for the puckouts. So why do you that was the reason that so many players were left exposed in the half back line, and you had Tom Morrissey and Kyle Hayes and Gerard Hegarty just crisscrossing in the middle. The Kilkenny players were following them, left huge space at the sidelines. Whereas if the full forward line had to drop out to the 45, the other players to midfield, they could have held their ground a little bit more because there wouldn't be as much space. I honestly think that alone cost Kilkenny the All-Ireland.
Do you really? Yeah. Jeez, yeah. I think if they just let anybody have the ball from the puck out, I think they would have been in big bother. Particularly if they'd let probably Barry Nash have it at different times, just because particularly last year anyway, and at stages this year, but Limerick's ability to work it out is probably better than any other team. If they're just sitting back, I can see what you're saying, but I think Limerick probably would have just worked a pass to the middle of the park and pop points over at will from distance. I understand.
If you're out 45 though, if you're out 45 and you don't press up, then when they start running it out, where if you're Barry Nash or Limerick or whoever, who are you actually going to be able to play it to that's free? If you're only meeting people at the 45, it just means there's going to be more traffic out there.
Yeah, but you just need to beat one man. Is all you need to beat, and then you potentially have an overlap. I just think, I know what you're saying. It was never going to happen. Was one thing. I don't know. Did Cody? Under Cody? Did they give away many free puckouts, or did it allow the opposition have the ball? It's not. I have to say, it's not something I particularly enjoy watching. Just a team totally conceding a puck out. Offaly did it at times last night and just let Dublin have the puck out. At times they were able to work it out. Maybe at times they weren't. I don't know. I still like to see a ball being poked down, not necessarily between two lads, but into space or something like that, a bit longer, and you can still profit from it a hell of a lot. But it's just amazing when you look at it and you see the call like a day and stats like that, how much hurling has changed realistically. Even 10 years ago, even 5 years ago, would you have been conceding puckouts?
Yeah, and the analysis of 15 league games showed that just 10% of puckouts landed beyond the 45 in the other half of the field. That was 21% in 2021. So there's far fewer long balls.
Where do you think the short ball to the fullback / cornerback back to the keeper and then goes long? I wonder, was that factored into it at all? That happens quite a bit. Patrick Collins does it a good bit. I can think of one anyway, definitely. Murphy would do it a bit too.
Yeah, there's plenty of keepers who just do the 1-2s so that they can then blast it long. I don't know. I suppose if you were to go strictly with the stats, that does count as a short completed puck out, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Yeah, and then another thing was, and I found this very interesting, the amount of time that the ball was in play. It had been 38% back in 2016, but it had been 43% back in 2016. That's now dropped to 38%. So for a 75-minute game, so you're including injury time there, and I'd imagine that's been averaged out. The ball is in play out of 75 minutes, just 28 minutes, 38%. There's a lot of stop-start stuff in hurling these days, isn't there? And it's really been borne out with that. And I remember over the years, there used to be stats in soccer, how often was the ball in play. I always felt it was around 50%, give or take. Don't know if that's gone up or down in recent years. But just 28 minutes in play, feel a little bit short-changed. Games do feel too stop-start.
Do you think an analysis on the league is accurate compared to championship? When a lot of teams are kind of feeling teams out. I know there was times...
Hurling is hurling.
There were times in the league there where, particularly Munster teams are playing each other and it's just we let them have the puck out or do whatever. We're not going to show them what we're going to do come summertime, if you get me. I I'm not sure if it's an accurate representation, but the one about the amount of time the ball is in play is probably pretty accurate. When the ball is in play, it's flying around, but it does, like, it's, people would refer to it as ping pong a bit, that it's kind of shot one end, shot another end. So the ball is obviously going out of play a lot more. Usually when the ball goes out over the end line, it's probably 12 to 15 seconds at least before it's back in play, I'd say.
Yeah, like even if it's slightly, not the same. Well, if it's not the same as championship, it can't be that much different. So yeah, if those numbers are quite low.